if it were not so, we wouldn't be dying also. Nobody likes dying because we don't return here. So when you have something good to celebrate about, also remember that those who may not be celebrating at that point in time because they have challenges that they are facing or they have faced. Okay, so I will have two quotes today. I will have Mother Nature quote first of all, which is the opener to this show, My Planet. Did I not say what my planet means? We are focusing so much on Mother Nature, planet Earth, and all that give us life, and all that give us life. I mean, there are many things that give us life. One of them is oxygen. Oxygen is derived from plants like trees. And so when you destroy trees, you have destroyed life indirectly. Yes, you have destroyed life indirectly. So when we talk about Mother Nature, we talk about such sources of our lives, like vegetation, like plants, like trees or forests, if you want. We talk about soils, where we grow our food, put our structures, like a building like this one, and so we get food, eat, and live. But also we talk about water bodies that supplies us with water. And we say, what is life without water? I mean, it's difficult to live. So Mother Nature is surrounding, rather just within that kind of situation we are talking about. And that's the reason, because without Mother Nature, we cannot live. And therefore, this show comes here to tell you, to remind you that without Mother Nature, life is not there. And therefore, it means you cannot afford to destroy, distort, disorganize the source of life. You cannot afford to do that. And if you do so, you are committing a crime of some sort. Killing yourself, your people, and other people as well. You're committing murder. So people who destroy Mother Nature, who destroy environment, who destroy all that God created, are committing a crime. I'm not a professional judge in that earthly judgment line, but I'm telling you, without nature, life is not there. And that being the case, then it means we have to protect Mother Nature dearly. We have to do that. So I will have a quote in that direction, but also towards the end of the show, I shall have a quote also to do with the leadership. Because we are in the election season in the country. 2025-2026 is election period, election season. Already some parties have tested the election. So towards the end, I will have to make a quote regarding leadership, because leadership is very important. Like here in this institution, Fort TV, we have leadership and management, without which you cannot run an institution. You cannot run an institution. Yes, that's what it is. So after Mother Nature quote, today we shall look at a few things. We shall look at some of the current, important current affairs. We shall look at the election of a new pope in the world, in the Catholic faith. They have a new pope, or we have a new pope for that matter. So it will be important to share some ideas about that, but also reflect on the one who was there previously, the demised pope, that deceased him, also briefly about that. And we shall also talk about 4 great current global conflicts. We have a lot of conflicts in the world, but I will briefly mention 4 of them. 4 of them before we conclude the discussion. And these, for reflection purposes, you can be thinking about Israel, you can be thinking about Russia, Ukraine, you can be thinking about Sudan, you can be thinking about, now the latest is India and Pakistan. Those are the 4 current great conflicts that we have in the world, but also not forgetting other conflicts that, like in South Sudan, there is a conflict, civil war. In Democratic Republic of the Congo, there is a conflict, civil war as well. Where else? In Syria as well, where there are conflicts there. In other parts of the world, we have lots of conflicts around, but I shall confine myself on those 4 because in the process you will see they are touching here and there in the areas that I have just mentioned. Now quickly, Olungereza taukire kimu hano tsali ngoza kubatangire nyena abire bali busy kokutugamba tibahulirize bimbeni ngamba bitate batekana batanka kuliriza omulimi runo mwe bali kugonza 40 TV kana 40 TV tikara tusemerirwe ya osokorole ekisani kyange nizoka ni very serious bitu mu mutima nimba nsemerirwe definitely tinsobora okujja kubaza newe mbihirwe kakwa haba kimbihize cyamani takundetera kusemerwa kamoto itanu ko kweli netekereza ito nyakora 8 tindkwija so hata kwija kana kaikaranga inginize inkaizira kukubikira rundi kukora hati nimba nikora kyo so 40 TV ito tikatsemeriro kandi obinitekereza nayi woko ikarosemeriro abo kutorora abo kutura abo ku rubata hamana itwe niko Olungereza notora abo kuba ntukwate siyona nabo ikintu kwadera mu Olungereza na hano honka mu Uganda abagenzi bayita abacholi abalango abakakwa nabandi tasobora kubabaliza urutoro rukabarakira rundi rukabanguhira so hati yekyo okutera harubaju kakubogenda Sudan ukagenda America ukagenda China India Russia urutoro tukubarakira so hati uturabantu betaga bukuba television ne mara yesiyona kandi tagensiyona kemanya kokutulo kabe katale kaitu ebe platform yaitu tukwesoli myoru tubasika nuko basobole kutunywana tubanywane tukole nabo business tukole enkurakurana munsi bakozese 40 TV bagimanya bakigoze nicyo kurora ntutamo Olungereza nubarwingyo hati iwe ekirunge kimanyire ohire kumanya ururimi rwaro enzaru urutoro neiwanya kurumu hati ayarwegere n'Olungereza rumanyire urugero ko rukumanyo kandi uringi rwomanyiro hati nyo nimbandi hagati yawo tinkuleta rwingi muno tinkuleta uruteito muno ora kuburanganiza nangwa nindeto orunyakusemerira mukasumikaro mulingo gwaro nambere kumanyira kimungu ensi yona hati nitubanturubatira hamu okay ebyo bhangu tenguliriza kikuru muno omuntu omu arikwetwa Dante Alighieri aine bigambo byabaliza hano biri mu Olungereza ebigambo bigufu biti nagamba ngo nature is the art of God. Nature is the art of God. Art is A-R-T. Nature is the art of God. Ebyo buhangwa bino bintu kubazaho bibira bisaka maizi nebintu bindi byone bitukurara ita bagamba abaikiriza muri ruhanga etugamba ruhanga byahangire ebi byona ebyo bihangwa bya ruhanga bintu bya ruhanga no yabitekanize niwe yabikozire niwe yabiteireho icyo tubanze tukikirize tubanze tukimanye habo kuba busa no muhalitwe naba magezi abenga abanyakuru kasumkana ayahangire ensiyeno talo ensiyeno ningambaki ayahangire bimere the green environment the plants the plant kingdom busa talo no ekyo wakyetegereza kandi busa ayahangire ente embuzi entale enkoko enjango embeba omusu enjoka ayahangire bisoro animal kingdom fauna and flora actually nobody created fauna and flora so it is a special being that did so haroho tekankusigambo omuntu akati nyine ekirikiraho burunge kenda kozesa haroho omuntu wembaganiza ayakozira omulimo ogwo omuntu tumweta ruhanga hati nyoni kwesegambo omuntu abwo kuba tinyine ekirikiraho burunge kenda kozesa hati icyo nicyo kirikumpa okutandikira kusobora otukweta ruhanga hati ni kwesegambo omuntu nabweki omuntu iwe nanyo n'omuntu wendi kakuba okola ekintu kyawe kakitekanizo kakiteka hali nikiba nikichweberagiro omuntu wendi kwija akakisisa nikiba kihikire obora bakterira abantu kukikozesa yes kukikozesa tikiri kibi baitu kukihwerekereza nikiye kibi habo kuba eke kintu kinakuterweho ntuba tukyetaga kikaleho hata kurora nko mu TV muno 40 TV ninja nonde neija nitukoramu emirimo nitubalizamu nitugeramu nitugesezamu nitusoboramu twarake nitugenda hati kakuba ninyija hano 40 TV ebyoma bino nkabera ranja ko computer biki za kamera zenu byoma bino byone binyakuri sophisticated birahano byokorora nkabira ranje rundi byo rukuru baratakayizira hati nkibakitahikire hata ayabikozire ayabiteraniza yabitereho uneja kugamba neja kwija nsime ngwe bali Hamilton ibintu bino kubihwerekereza no icyo kubanza kwa byona neja kubihiro definitely nabihiro kandi taruwe wenka kubihiro nabantu bone abarukugasirwa abarukuherezibwa nka abarukuherezibwa kitongole kino ni TV nabo ni babihiro habokuba ebintu byabo bakabibatera kubahereza kandi nabihwerekereza so hati unugaruka yabigambo biri ebintankisize ibingamba nature is the art of God ngo abyohango tukurole ebyo mulimo gwa ruhanga bintu bya ruhanga no yabitekanize yabitaho hati icyo nikimanyisake nikimanyisanga titwine bugabe no busobozi we have no right and freedom kubihwerekereza to destroy them. We rather have responsibility to protect them. Ekitwine nuko obujunanizibwa bwo kubirinda kandi kwa kitubirinda mbere kugambire ko yakegaruka amaboko gumya obundi nogo yakaijaho hati kucyetegereza kurungi ngo nitubirinda abo kuba nibituho bwomezi hata litaka ho kulima torkuli kandi utalire tokomera hata ruhendo giro za amayizago sources of water naga amayizi gatalo turkomera akwa kutukimanyire amayizi bwomezi nituganya tugacumbisa tugogesa tugoga tukorake nigaturuhuliro ngalindo bwomezi nigakora mibiri yito nigalinde byo hango bindi byona yego hati yebyo ebibiri yebi hati nkebimera nko kumbere ngambere emiti ebibira na kurgororo turkwita turkweta oxygen betati gendo role mwirwaro omuntu obarako bali kubimuno bakamutwara akamuteka horuyo orubatekanize nibarwahura barumtekaho nibamusaba sente nyingi muno ndi abantu bino babasaba sente nyingi muno kusasura urwoyo it is very expensive oxygen the health facilities is very expensive to get. When you get it you have to pay dearly, to pay heavily. It costs a lot of kwacha, a lot of dollar, a lot of money, a lot of shillings. But akasumi nkoka mnono itaga rwingi kandi rwikaleho, the more it keeps on you in the hospital or health facility, the more the money. And you cannot sustain that. Kandi ubundi tali abandi barutaho no kurubataho bamalira nabo bafire. So meaning ngo ruhango yaba yaterireho mulingo gwo kutungiramu urundi kwikara tuomire twesoroyo utarukusasura. We don't pay any penny, any coin for this oxygen that we breathe in. We don't. It's given to us free of charge. And sometimes we are funny, even we castigate, even we abuse, even we disrespect the source of this oxygen. The God that created oxygen for us. Ebyaruhanga nyonyeramu, ebyaruhanga manyabiki ruhanga taliyo, manyabiki manyomuntu akaruga munkende, mukikuya, manyegirata. You know, ebyo bintu nkebyo. Ebyo nibabiriyo, nibihamu ekitinisa, nimaramu ekitinisa, nibijuma, nibisusubya, ayatuhero bwomezi. At oxygen. First of all, some of us believe and read from the eternal book, the Bible. We are created in God's image. Habaki tarkujuga nkentamaru nkembuzi. Tutarkuamuza, tutarkoka nkenkoko. Targama nkakajangu nyau habaki. Tutakwegora nkemba. We are special creatures. We are special beings who are created in God's image, and so we are a reflection of God. Hati nebintu bya byakozire tikirikirunge kubisisa. Tekirikirunge kubisisa. Akwantu antesisiro bomezi, ntu atumara kitins, ntu antumujuma, ntu antumugaya, ntu atugamba akakora byake, tutukubiyetaga, and yet we need them. So hati ebigambo kabino birikuhija kagamba ngo nature is the art of God. Omuntu wena kwetegereza wena kitaho mutima. Wena kitaho mutima kitwali nke kikuru. Tindi hanu kugamba ngo njakizinira konka aboko nyo nature ege tukubazaha byo bhangwe. Tibiri byange nyo nko muntu as Hamilton. Kugamba nyo hati mutasise bintu byange ebi akwa nibingasira beiti twena ruhanga kapito hitwena takusororo mu bino murungi arkwera narkwera guro mugufu narahiro mjungu no wala buli bantu bona babuli mulingo akabito hanyo ngo kwija nkagamba nkakwijuca nkakwekambisa kagamba ngutubirinde abo konte byetaga I'm not selfish tingambe ngo mubindindire nyowe. So actually nko muntu omugezo ondi wena you would appreciate my message and say yakora kurungi atuijuke kintu kikuru muno. Hati ugendo mali orgenyejo kirwebajo takaliro ita kurenjara ne kuruma no goza kulia mara wiki yono takalire mara kwezo takaliro role ko kubomezi burahinduka negatively no hinduka kubi no sukucheka no kurwa no rwara wena nozo kakundi rundi omulingo ogutasemerire habukuba ekiro kukwatira obomezi bwawe noba otakikozeseza nibyo byokulya kandi obwo byokulya nibirumu hitaka lino obumu nobumu tukwata kubi hati ekyo kankirugeho ako nitekereza ngu ekigambo nobukiba kigufa mugezi hamuntu omugezi nda kwetegereza atyetwara nda kutwara nkekikuru rulirumu hamimbi ezinkoro tosa hala 40 TV honka kyonka nambira ntungo mugisa guona ogwo kubaza nabantu nimbarora tinkubarora nibandora ntibarkundora baitu handu kutekereza ngo kwenda ni ushobora kubaka mulingo gumundu gundi ndi mu buhandike ndi mu television ndi mu radio ndi mu kurato ndi nka no mwira mishon kintu kibaza habo kuba nitekereza ntukora amakuru otukwa tulibomezi kandi tukwantezoka kurungi abalire banyuire bajwara baitikisa kurungi nicho kuba nindwanire kintu kino nebyo bhangwa ebindi ebisoro ebihuka byakura binyonyi biki nabyo bikuru muno byo bhangwa it's part of nature kandi nabyo tubyetaga muno tubyetaga mu byokulya tubyetaga mu mukumi tubyetaga mu sente tubyetaga mu kuba bitahi byitu nkabatahi kubirora kwegonza nabyo tubyetaga kuko nibisikiriza n'abari kubunga kutuletera sente kujya mu kakurole sente no kora imirimo kuletera sente umulingo nkoko. So we've got a responsibility to protect mother nature nitubikozesa yes bitu tabimara hati tinorfumo mutorongo esamba etakwitire ule manogaram ndio sigano garam ekintu kira kugasira application kona okozesaho no yongera notaho mulingo gukororangu kikaraho no kozesaho no yongera no kikanyisa kikara no kanisa kikara nicyo tulimira tukagesa tukongera tukalima tukabyara tukagesa tukongera buli mwaka buli season. That's what it is. Yes, kanhire ngigegi etahire ekusemera kuji. Okay, kambazio kataito mbaze chali ntabaruche or rather nganyire abantu bono munsi kandi kiramuna benyikiriza katolika habo kufuerwa Papa Francis ayafire birokweza abina kimo okwezo kwa kana mwaka guno ya akafere kweze abina kimo okwakana okwezo koiro birokweza byali abina kimo mwaka guno akafera mu mukikaro ekiyeku nambere bikara abakuru abo oku Vatican ya so akarwa munsi kandi of course omuntu weno barakurgaho obujonanizibwa rundi arkwebembera nyakwino umulimo gwona hariho uwagarwa mbigirebe rundi mukikaroki abantu bamutaho abantu bamukoma abandi bekoma bitu system ezo kirobwinge munsi abantu abandi nibo batekaho umuntu ugo bakoma mu bantu abandi abanyakuroho abakusemera kukomwamu aragaruka mbebembezi bomuntu waba arugireho bitu cyari kambaze okake mugenzi Papa Francis omuhumono hate mugenzi cyari akazaru 17 kwe 12 kumrenda satona mukaga hati wakumanya kubara so kumanya ngo abina kimo kwa kana mwaka guno akaruga mbomezi wensi ene myaka erkwinganeti no sobora kubaramu no gizora hati kwikugwe 12 kugwa kumrenda asatona mukaga neberinga nebetali nkaga nene hati nkaga nene teranize habine 5 nebetali mu kinana na mwendo around there. Okay, so oboraba no sobora kubara umulingo kogo karuga omunsi ali myaka kinana nindi eyo bukuru kandi nakugambira kasumi akayazalirwemu nagambira kasumi akayaferiremu kandi omukuru ono abazaire bombi ise na nyina undi musajja na mukazi bali barugira munsi ya Italy. That's what I mean. bafurukire mu bicweka bya Amerika ya masirimuka oku mu ihanga lya Argentina, mu ihanga lya Argentina noho bazalire omusejon hatuwe nawe nsobora kumweta omulingo gumurundi ogundi omu Amerika kyonka tali mu Amerika nyakwijwire hakuba abazaire be bombi bakaba tali ba Amerika hati ono mushihaka anya kurugira komono kujja kuongera kubazaho nkairizayo uwe niwe nzarwa ya Amerika, niwe nzarwa ya Amerika mulimu hamasaza ga Amerika kukunda koleka mu maisa. So hati omugenzi yoli akaba azairwe ababiri abo barugira mu ihanga lya Italy, nyonso kugamba Italia bitunso kuchetegereza baita mu kikaro mu ihanga lya Argentina limu hamahanga makoto South America ndi Amerika ya masirimuka hati mukuru ono nuhu akabali oku ya kura yatandika gukora imirimo y'obuhereza mu eklezia yakuzibwa kandi mu bigufu akakomwa akahereza muno mu kicweka cya munsi ya Peru limu hamahanga aganya kuli mu South America liherene na Argentina lero Peru. So akaherezayo muno okumara kusumuka ingi eija yajuwe kwa obukuru bw'obwebembezi obwa papa mu mwaka gwa 2013. Okay, 2000. What am I talking about? Kanichich 2013. Yeah. Okay, so hatin akaba nagonza mune bintu ebyobuhangwa utengulirize nature environment mpenda nukoze nyakoro munsi za kabi hati climate change akaba nabirwanise bintu nakwataniza no kugamba tukaba tuli hamu muntekereza neiwe harugonza bintu ebi. Okay, so kandi akaba ali muntu arkwebundaza mwebundazi, humble man, in a high level of humility. Natama abantu abandi kitini sana utwana kikuru ya kandi yagonza gobuhereza akabali papa wa 2006 kuruga ba papa batandika kutebwaho kwebembera obukatolika munsi yona ayarugire hogo ayafirogo akaba yahika wa 2006 meaning that akaba habayireho abandi 2005 obuyizire yahebwa obujunanzi bwobo yabo 2006 hati ekyo nkimanyisangu no nkuba ntakugambire ono nyakoro hati omushaka wa kainga no bano kimanya ngo 2006 hati reka nwengiyeho kake hati moyo goli mukama guhumuze mumbabazi mubusingi. Okay, nko kwa abantu batafuera kuhwa hati eklezia yekakoma omukardinali ondi yamufuara omulembezi wenyikiriza eklezia lengo rwensiyona abantu bana banyakukomwa mpapa rundi papa nambira ruga level yabo olengo rwabo rwobuhereza bali lengo rwa cardinali cardinals rundi cardinal egi level lengo mboyembezi wedini ya katolika halengo rwensiyona orwa kabiri hakira kim mu bujunanzibwa bobuhereza mu eklezia oburukira kim of course nubo bwa papa papacy obwa papa nubo burukira kim ko halengo rahiguru cyonka tosobora kukomwa kuba papa otarugire halengo rwa cardinal. So inakubanza kuba mukardinali nuko idale kumalira higuru uburatongera omugisa bajja kukoma no ba papa betu tubalibona abanyakwika bwa papa definitely papa abomo munsi saba cardinali bengi muno abafa bataroleze habwa papa batabere ba papa, and not because that they don't want to be or people don't want them to be, betu tosobora kuba na abembezi babiri at the same time abalengo ndurumu rundi basatu rundi bana rundi batano like hati nko muhangalite ya Uganda tosobora kuba na ba presidenti abarikira halyomo tine president Museveni hati no jagamba ngo habe na president yondi bona bali mu State House. No, it can't work. Practically it cannot. It's not even logical. So hati ngoza kutabarucha buli mbanza naganya hati kantabaruche eklezia habo kutunga omwembezi omoyo webyo moyo nkeze katolika alengo lensi yona omushaka. Okay, omushaka omushaka ono hati nuwe Papa Leo we 14 hati amabara ganu ba papa kikubyo kitinisa rundi ibara li ofisi ya barumu obukuru bwo babaina mu ofisi ko barakumweta bati ngo kurugamba mwembezi hango kamweta president ya beti na mabaraga gani hati omukuru won wargira kukoma actually ngoza nkwijuche ngu akakoma ibiro kwezi 8 byo kwezi 10 mwaka guno hati ti 11 ya akakoma ibiro kwezi 8 kwezi 10 kwa nyini mwaka guno ya weekend etwatera mabega manye wiki tugimazire gijo ijatoere mu weekend hati tutandikire weekend pia ka Sunday first day of the week ite nyoka kuambara anti ntakuburanganiza iwo kugumire so ibiro kwezi 8 nuwe yakomerwe hati akoma kuruga mu bakadino bakadinali abo nakoma akaruga no yarugire ito mu Africa tutuine ba cardinals bainge mu Uganda tuine home ya mu Democratic Republic ya Congo tuineyo kandi ogo actually ali kuli katugambe nuwe hali abakaba ababairemu nuwe komamu omwebembezi akaba ali hali abo the electorates bakozera mulimo ogo wa DRC ito wite tengonera ngo akajaye asobola kubataragireyo abamani make ago mubiri rundike hati omukuru wono onkubazaho papa wa 257 ya amabarage gonyini agabulikiro no Robert Francis Prevost on the Prevost Prevost ya Robert Francis Prevost ijombere ndi mkikale kimu chokubalizamu na tabarucha omulolezi wa Fort Portal wa Katoliki akiki Dr. Mwepiskopi Dr. Robert Muhirwa, Reverend Father Dr. Robert Muhirwa akiki hati Robert ogo mugenziwe in terms of names, his namesake hati omukuru ono hagungo mabaragi original kandi agoli ayarugireho original gali Jog Mario Bagoglio Jog Mario Bagoglio holy Papa Francis hati amabara agongerwaho gan hati oso kunkaguza ngo hati iwe leo olihirenka hati abakuru bando bamara kubakoma ubo anya kukomero no ayegomboza mu bapapa baberehe nyuma ayegomboza abatabano bere bona bitu haruho ibare yahura naye gomba mabara agaga bapapa babayireho kubyo byabe nimba mpikiza gambe kubyo the title is Pope, yes, bitu haruho mabara agagenderaho hati omuntu wamara kujoko bwa papa gali aga Robert Francis Prevost ago gaikaraho mbehandiko ngamanyo nakini ngo mabaraga original beto ofisi no yata hamo yo papa atunga ibara erindi ibara rishaka kurugamba papa abenyuma uwe nko kwabaye gomboyizi tiba mucwera mu bana bakadinali bagenze be abamukomere nabantu abandi ndiyekereza kumucwera uwe nuwe aye gomboza mu ibara habwe nsonga weza amanyire maybe an inspirational kind of choice he makes, how that Pope inspired him or inspires him or works for him or makes his day, makes his life for him. So hati ono nawe akakoma mu ibara mu limu hamabara gaba papa babaireho Papa Leo aya malirireyo kuba nibara linu akaba Papa Leo ow'ekumi na basatu hati ono niwe Papa Leo ow'ekumi na bana. Pope Leo the 14th hati ono utwine kasumi kano nabweki ningoza kumutabarucha telepathetically na mpura na nyetegereza na amanya gwena mutabarucha kyonka okuraba mu baikiriza ba Eklezia Katolika harulengo rwensi yona kandi nomborolezi bunu omurolezi wange Akiki Muhirwa okihure ntabarukize mwembezi w'ebyomwoyo aba Katolika abanyikiriza Katolika. So omumuntu akazarwa 1995 yes 1955 niwe mu America owokubanza okujwekwa rundi kutwarwe obujunanzibwa bwokuba papa owokuba papa munyikiriza enkatolika, the first American pope. Akazalirwa mu isaza rundi kichweka kya Chicago. Chicago is one of the states in the United States of America. America ya hamwegi ya nyakwina masaza nka atano, I think atano na limu hamasaza agamani Chicago niyo yazalirwa omusajja ono. Of course akazarwa ali mwana so egi kichweka kya America ya matemba. So he's the first American to be pope since papacy started in this world. Kurugo bwa papa butandika kuba mu America okubanza. Akajwekwa obusorodoti mu 1982. Yes, mu 1982 no wajwekera obusorodoti. Yes, priesthood no wajwekera. Akahereza muno munsi ya Peru, mu ihanga lya Peru, yes, akahereza muno mu ihanga lya Peru. Okay. Oli wa yarugireho mbaire mbagambire mu Argentina. Okay. Hati ono mu America is an American. Okay, so nkogamba ebiri kumukwata mu bujwire kira hano nagonza kwebembezaki mu buherezabo obwekelezia rulengo rwensi yona byakutwara kebikuru hati owenyuma mbaire mbagambire akabale mu ebundazi nona ntekeza nuko kandi yagonzaga muno kurwanira no kulinda ebyobuhangwa tuyengulirize ono tujja kurora we na gambaki kandi oli akabale mu ebundazi nagonza abantu nasalirirwa abali mu kwetaga abatena chename hati tujja kurora na attitude focus yomukuru ono next Sunday, God willing, when I come back here we shall talk about that. Tutakagenze kumburaho kambanze nkugambire ngu hati ntugenda kuroraho amalemu agarugenda maiso munsi ana 4 great current global conflicts betu tegaliago gunka nagandi maingi. So obu turaga mkumuraho kake niho turagenda abetu takagenze mkumuraho ningonza nyikirizibwe nkole mu bigufu mbazeho na Burungereza munsi ebintu binaga kubaze nyuma tukuri kusisa bwirose betu habo kuba kikuru muno. We cannot assume that everybody understands it all, like I said. Now I'm talking to South Africans, I'm talking to Namibians, I'm talking to Americans, I'm talking to Russians. So the uniting factor, the uniting language is English. And so let me also share with them what I've shared with us here in Toro. So I shared with these people here, so I'm sharing with us all about the demise of the 266th Pope Francis, whom I said that died on 21st of April this year. He was an Argentinian, but had his parents, both of them originating from Italy. So, and them having originated from Italy, so you cannot call their son American, because Argentina is part of America, South America, yes, but because of the originality of the parents, who are the reason that this Pope existed, were immigrants from Italy. So he grew up into that Catholic faith, and he was elected Pope on the 8th of May. No, not that. He rather died on the 8th of May. No, I'm not saying that. He died on the 21st of April, 2025. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly. Exactly. He was born on 17th of December, 1936. And yeah, so he so much served in that part of America. Then he was elected Pope in 2013. Yeah, was elected Pope in 2013. So he spent 12 years in that seat of Pope, with that title of Pope, because he has just died recently. So that's what I was talking about. His original names were Jorge Mario Bergoglio. So then was the 266th Pope. Now the new Pope, who is now Pope Leo XIV, original names, this cardinal, his original names were Robert Francis Prevost. Now when he becomes a Pope, these names are not going to be ordinarily used officially in his new responsibility of papacy. They will remain on record, like we don't forsake, we don't ignore our names, they remain on record, but the official nomenclature, the official reference is Pope. Now he's Pope Leo XIV, and he picks the name like Leo from amongst the previous popes, the popes that existed. There could be one who inspired him most, whom he feels admiring, so he can pick that name. So, and he, this time round, picked Leo, and he's now the Leo XIV, meaning that the previous Leo was Leo XIII. So you cannot also, he cannot call himself Leo XIII because the 13th one went off stage. So this is another one. So he's the 14th. He admired that name, and so we are referring to him as Pope Leo XIV. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, he was elected on the 8th of May this year. This is what I was trying to say. He was elected on the 8th of May this year, just a few days back. Today is 11th, but you know, count backwards on the 8th of May. Just 3 days ago. Yeah, 3 days ago, yes. Actually, on Thursday. Wasn't Thursday the 8th? I would think so. If I've calculated well. So we have a new Pope. So is the one that we're having. That's what I'm talking about. About his focus and other interests and other things, we shall focus on them in the next presentation, next Sunday. Sure. Let's go for just a very short break in a matter of maybe a minute or just seconds. Then we come back and look at the 4 great global conflicts. Don't go away.
Fort TV. Stay entertained.
tweteranize hebero byokwezi 11 kwa gatanu kiriba kero kya Sunday okujaguza muzairo mukazi kanuwa mau Unseen Model Agency bakwatanize na Yega Foundation bakuletira Mothers Charity Day Glamour 2025 tuli bantu echumitiriza hamukago gutaru kuchweka ogwo muzairo mukazi leta mama ayegonze kirecho kiriba kero cyo kusemeza abazaira abakazi alibaho kuoleka emisono amazana no kuchekecha byona bigenderiro kujaguza omukazi bindi biri ba Mountains of the Moon Hotel mu rubuga rwa Fort Poto 11 kwa gatanu 2025 tahamu ordinary mtwale 2 VIP VIP mitwaro 10 ubu kwita no muzeire wawe mukazi we notahera mbusada kandi emeza y'abantu mukaga mitwaro 5 tiketi zino zona nizija n'ecyo kunywa ije tujaguze the queens in our lives kumenya bikira hotera 0777 030 M08 rudi 0705 mwenda 73 255 Mothers Charity Day Glamour ikumana kimo kwa katano.
Welcome to Afro Mobile, the king of Ugandan content. It's a mobile app with all of your favorite programs in the palm of your hands. Latest breaking news, video on demand, live streams, music, sports, lifestyle and entertainment. Play, pause, rewind, download and even share all of your favorite shows from up to 15 TV stations, 50 radio channels and 10 news outlets, all curated from a trusted and resourceful network of journalists. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store to download the Afro Mobile app and enjoy a world of limitless wonder. Afro Mobile. The future is now.
Bagenzi harohe kichweka ekinkumanya kikahumba ruhanga ubu yemera hansozi olengeresi amore
Fort TV ikara osemerirwe.
Welcome back from that short break. Fort TV, keep entertained. Thank you, my guys in the production room for affording us to have that refreshing break. Back to business now. Let me go English first of all. We are going to look at, briefly though, 4 great current global conflicts. We're going to look at one of them is Israel versus Hamas in Gaza or Palestine. We're going to look at Russia versus Ukraine, Russia-Ukraine war. We're going to look at Sudan. There is a civil war in Sudan, a conflict in Sudan, a huge one. And we shall also look at the latest now, which is India-Pakistan conflict. India-Pakistan conflict. I will not exhaust them in terms of details of each, but I want to give some idea as what is obtaining in the world today. We are in times of conflict globally. We are in times of conflict. So I will do just brief justice to each of these conflicts now. Let's start with Israel. Israel is fighting a group that refers to as what? Okay. The people are called Hamas. It's an organization of people who do not agree with Israel. It's one of the groups that harasses, actually Israel. They don't agree. They have always been in conflict. It's part of Palestine. Hamas are staying in a place called Gaza. Gaza is part of Palestine. It's like it's a state. Okay, we have Gaza, we have West Bank, we have other places, Nablus and other places. But these Hamas, Israel refers to them as terrorists, killers, murderers. And actually, on the 7th of October, 2023, these people, the Hamas people from Gaza, organized themselves, went and attacked or invaded Israel from the south, and that early morning of Sabbath day, Saturday, the 7th of October, 2023, they killed more than 1,200 Israelis. They killed 1,200 Israelis, 1,200 Israelis, even more, even slightly more. But that is the main record that we have. So, as a result, Israel retaliated, fought back. You know, when they killed these people, they ran back to their place. And actually, while running back to Gaza, these Hamas ran away with some 250 plus Israelis as hostages. They took away Israelis, 250 plus as hostages. So far, I think they have so far killed about maybe 30% of these people. Yeah, the hostages. Some of the hostages have been killed already, dying there in Gaza, either in a crossfire between Hamas and Israeli soldiers, IDF or Israeli Defense Forces, or the Hamas themselves killing these people, the hostages. So there has always been, for a long time now, since Israel state was created in 1948, conflicts between Israel and Palestine. And you know, I have told you Gaza is part of Palestine. But this group, Hamas, are semi-autonomous. They kind of, they are more or less the leaders of Palestine in a way. Although Palestinian Authority has a president, they don't call it Palestinian government. Palestinian Authority has a president. Mahmoud Abbas is the president. But these people, the Hamas, don't agree that they have that president. So they also leave because they're the same people in the same country. They also have their disagreements and conflicts there. But the point is that Israel now is having about 5 fronts where it has conflicts. Because the 5 fronts, the countries I'm going to mention, and others that I may not mention, didn't want, and they still don't want, Israel to exist as a country, as a state. They don't want. They say this Jewish group of people, they say this Zionist group of people, you know, it's a group of people they want to call that there were people staying around Mount Zion, so there should be a small group of people there, not to exist as a state. But Israel has endured all this and is existing as a state. They want it destroyed. They want it completely washed away, eliminated. And that's why it is fighting existential kind of war. It is fighting hard to exist, to keep living, to keep there as a state, Israel. And that's why it doesn't want Palestine to exist as a state, because of that conflict, you know. So Palestine doesn't want to recognize Israel as a state. Iran doesn't want. Arab countries, most of them don't want to recognize Israel as a state, but yet it is a state. And they say if it is to be a state, it should be elsewhere, not in the Middle East. That's what they think, that's what they will fight for, that's what they cry for, to destroy it. But Israel is existing as a state. And so it is fighting to make sure that it keeps in existence. Omuntu wena yerwana hano kwekaleho alimomezi. So because of that conflict, disagreements have been so much rampant. So after invading Israel on the 7th of October 2023, Israel fought back, followed them up to their place, to Gaza. And it swore to destroy Hamas, to hammer them, to blow them, never to rise again to invade Israel. And that's why the war is still on of destroying Hamas. And Hamas are saying, you cannot destroy us. They are fighting back all the time. But Israel is saying that before I destroy you, I cannot leave Gaza. I cannot leave Palestine. It's a huge conflict. Now, because other countries, other Arab countries don't want Israel to exist as a state in the Middle East, they're also supporting this group, the Hamas. Who are the supporters now? We have Iran. Iran is a very powerful country in the Middle East. It's a very powerful country. It's developing, I think, is it nuclear weapons? Okay. And America and other countries, including Israel, are saying, no, we cannot have Iran with nuclear weapons because it can erase Israel off the face of the earth. So Iran is supporting Hamas. That is Iran. There is another area called Lebanon. They are neighbors with Israel as well. They are close neighbors. There is a group of what America and Israel refer to as terrorists, Hezbollah, the Hezbollah. Like in Gaza we have Hamas, now in Lebanon we have Hezbollah. They are also fighting Israel. They want to destroy Israel. They're supporting Hamas against Israel. They're defending Hamas against Israel. So you can see Israel has been surrounded. And these conflicts are on. So Israel is also fighting in Lebanon against these fellows, the Hezbollahs. They are quite complicated groups of fighters. They have all weapons of all sorts. The countries that support them, like now Iran supports directly supports Hezbollah. Supports Hezbollah to destroy Israel. It gives them weaponry, gives them skills, military facilities, training, skills and all that. Finances and all that. But also there is another country, the third one now, is Yemen. It is also is a neighboring country. Yemen, there is a group of people referred to as Houth. 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 I don't know how you can pronounce it. It is H-O-U-T-H-S, Houth, because it is in plural form. It's also referred to as a terrorist group by America, by Israel, and many other European countries. Rebel groups, terrorist groups actually, not rebel groups in this case. But sometimes they are referred to as rebel groups in their own countries. But some of their leaders in the countries are supporting them somewhat. So that front also is there. Israel is facing those fellows. They are bombarding Israel, and Israel is replying, fighting back. So those are the three fronts so far I have mentioned. I have mentioned actually four now. Iran itself directly, because it directly fights against Israel, and it supports another front, that is the front of the Hamas in Gaza, that is Palestine. Those are two countries. Now in Lebanon, the third country, with those fellows there, the Hezbollah. Now the fifth one is Yemen, with those fellows, the Houth. They are all focusing their attention of destroying Israel. Israel is assisted by its friend called America. the United States of America, USA, to defend it, to support it militarily, financially, and otherwise, to fight against these different fronts. But also I must mention that Israel is having issues with Syria. It is bombarding or bombing some parts in Syria, because now Syria has had conflicts. It was one of the Arab countries there which doesn't agree with Israel, doesn't want the existence of Israel. So the leader now in Syria is a rebel leader also, who was fighting against the government of Bashar al-Assad. But Bashar al-Assad was chased away by the group that this man is leading. And there are some areas in Syria where they do training against Israel, raising groups against Israel, rebel groups. Okay, so that is another front. So you can see, Israel is a small country actually. Next time I come here, I will tell you the size and the population of Israel. It's a very tiny country, but surrounded by those hostile countries, hostile terrorist groups as they are referred to. Okay, so it is in the middle of the sea of hostility. It is in the middle of the sea of hostility. I needed to up my pace because time adjustment. So that conflict is on. They have been trying to have ceasefires to lull in the fighting, but there is a lot of suffering now in Gaza, in West Bank as well, but different parts of Gaza, it has north, central, south. So there is a lot of fighting there. And some Israeli hostages have been redeemed, have been released back to Israel, but others have been killed, of course, but there are still others. Israel is saying that before you release all the hostages, the living and the dead, we cannot leave Gaza. And the Hamas are saying that if you don't leave Gaza, we are not going to release the remaining Israeli hostages. So you can see, and actually I'm not seeing Israel leaving Gaza before all these hostages are released, dead and alive, the dead and the living. So that means that the fighting is still on, even when the countries are trying to create environment of ceasefire, to cease fighting, to lull and halt fighting and so on. But the fighting is on. People are suffering so much. More than 46,000 so far have been killed in Gaza as a result of this fighting. Children, women, everybody. And many more are dying night and day. They are starving. Medical facilities have been destroyed. Medicines are not coming in. Food is not coming in. Yeah, it was coming in, but then the Hamas were also stealing it to sustain themselves because they have to leave. And now Palestinians are raising against Hamas, saying, you release the Israeli hostages so that Israel can leave us, can go back to its place, can stop killing us. But the Hamas are saying, no, we cannot release them unless Israel has gone away. How? I mean, it's practically difficult. So as time allows, in the future, I'll be giving you details as to why this fighting is persisting. And the original reasons why these countries in the Middle East are against Israel, and why Israel is fighting the way it is doing. Good enough for it, it is technologically sophisticated, has a lot of weaponry, advanced weaponry, and military technology that is helping it to continue living. But now, the remaining conflicts I'm going to rush because I just wanted to give you some idea that these conflicts are on. And when they happen, they affect the entire globe, the entire world. We are affected. We are affected business transactions, economics, geopolitical relations also get affected. And we in Uganda and Africa generally, we are dependent upon the support of those countries. Yeah. So we are so much dependent. We are not independent fully. We are politically maybe somehow independent, but generally we are dependent upon other countries, even militarily, in terms of technological support, military equipment, financially. You know, when America coughed the other time, you have seen paralysis hitting us in terms of services, health services, you know, HIV and AIDS issues and other. When you ceased operations in the country, many organizations here and the government departments that are supported by America have been affected, supported by that program, you said. Okay, so let's now move to another conflict which is on and actually disastrous also, that is Russia-Ukraine conflict. On the 24th of February 2022, Russia, under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, decided to invade Ukraine. Many reasons are advanced, but Russia, the president of Russia, or Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, says that Ukraine is supposed to be part of Russian Federation. You know, Ukraine and other countries like Belarus, like Kazakhstan, Georgia, broke off from Russia when Russia was still a union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR. When it broke, communism broke, and many states now decided to secede, to break off, to become independent. Like if you could talk about, in Uganda, for example, this is not going to happen anyway. Maybe I leave Uganda, use another country where they're less sensitive, where they're not going to complain. Because here politically, if you give an example to say, if Toro region wants to be independent, to be a country, if Ankole region wants to be a country, if Bunyoro region wants to be a country, so you can have so many states now, Bunyoro state, Toro state, Ankole state, and meaning Uganda as a country remained with maybe Kampala, Eastern and other parts, so it becomes smaller. So like the government in Kampala would want to fight and bring back these states if they had broken off. This is what is happening with Russia. Russian Federation thinks that those countries that, which are countries now, which were states that broke off when communism fell, when USSR broke down, should be reunified with the Russian Federation to rebuild that kind of empire, USSR kind of. That's what this man kind of indirectly wants to do, he's trying to do. Doesn't want these countries to remain independent. And that's why he has grabbed some parts of Ukraine. About 20% of Ukraine is in the hands of Russian Federation control by Vladimir Putin. He's fighting to grab more parts, actually, where possible, wants to have the entire Ukraine taken back to Russia. And you know, it's practically difficult. And that's why the country is fighting, Ukraine is fighting for survival, for existential, you know, survival. Fighting back. So the fighting is on. Russia night and day is bombarding Ukraine. Ukraine is fighting back using all means available from their own resources, also from resources of allies, those countries that are supporting. America has been the biggest ally of Ukraine, but with the coming on scene of second Trump administration in America, things have changed. America has reduced on the military and economic support to Ukraine. Some bit of support is still on, but the American president to date is John Donald Trump is unpredictable, is a little bit tricky, is actually, unfortunately for Ukraine, the American president is leaning towards and being empathetic with Russia, which has been unheard of from any American president. Unheard of. all American presidents and Russian presidents have been opposed to each other. Why? Because Russia was fighting to be a superpower. America is a superpower, you know that one. But wants to overthrow the superiority of America to dominate the world. America is saying no. You know, they have had their conflicts of ruling the world. So, nkokutuka murito tusogera nkokoro mibiri, tosukuchume nkokoro mibiri mkenaka kimu ngirabanyeka babiri mukemu. So, and other countries which actually are coming up strongly to become, who want to be superpowers, is China, for example. And so China is allying with Russia. Iran is allying with Russia. North Korea is allying with Russia. And now it becomes funny when you see in the current administration of America, America is trying to seemingly aligning with Russia. You know, it's a bit tricky. I'm not saying it completely or exactly that Russia, rather America is supporting Russia to destroy Ukraine. But when you see what is going on, when you remember Joe Biden days was supporting Ukraine strongly against Russia, as Russia invaded Ukraine. But now this man is talking sweet terms with Ukraine, rather with Russia. He wants Russia to come back into the group of the 8 industrialist countries, the G8, even the G20. You know, it's a tricky thing. How do you begin empowering your neighbor to overtake you in terms of superiority? Can that be thought of? It is very, very tricky and delicate. You know, I can't talk much because some of these countries, including Uganda, sometimes have friendships and alliances with the countries like Russia, and so if you talk so much, somebody is not happy somewhere, and so for us, you talk and stop at some point. But as a journalist, this is an analysis I'm doing. I'm doing analysis. I'm not saying anything beyond analysis, because even we get some supplies from Russia in terms of all those other equipments. Okay, so so many people have now been displaced in Ukraine. Many have been killed, children, the elderly, soldiers, other people, the citizenry are being harassed by Russia. Trump, US president, tried to tell us that he wanted to create a ceasefire environment, wanted Russia and Ukraine to cease fire, to stop fighting for a while, at least for 30 days, so that they can discuss peace. But the Russian Federation President Vladimir Putin refused to do that. He unilaterally now these days says, maybe I can give 72 hours ceasefire. I have activities I'm doing. You Ukraine, don't fight. Me, I'm not going to fight you in the next 72 hours, maybe 3 days or what. But when he mentions that, he passes behind and begins again, continues fighting against Ukraine. So is a person, like his friend at the other side, is not liable upon. You cannot trust Vladimir Putin. You cannot, in his war with Ukraine, and even in his relation with America, you cannot trust Vladimir Putin. You cannot make that mistake. You cannot make that mistake. So there's that huge conflict. That affects us as well, because wheat, most of the wheat that we use in African countries, including Uganda, comes from those countries, Russia inclusive, but especially from Ukraine. Ukraine is a huge farming country, especially in terms of wheat. It is a rich country, actually, including minerals and so on. Next time I come here, I will talk about now the alliances, the agreements America is trying to strike with Ukraine to get minerals, to do business with Ukraine, but is not giving guarantees of security against Russia. That's where the hypocrisy is. And America is seen as a superpower, and if you have the support of America, you are safer. But if you don't have the support of America, you are in danger, because China will want to, can do anything with you, Russia can do anything with you, North Korea can do anything with you, Iran can do anything with you. And that with you, the you I'm talking about is Ukraine. So that's why European countries, some European countries are forming a coalition of the willing, about 5, 6, 7 countries, to support Ukraine. Support Ukraine against Russia. Because Russia is the occupier, the occupying force, the occupying country, the invader. That I cannot say, that's what is happening. Even the blind can see that. Even those who don't understand very quickly can understand that. So the fighting is on, actually, it's raging on. Raging on. Thousands, tens of thousands of soldiers from both sides, from Ukraine and Russia, have been killed. When they are fighting, don't think that it is Russia alone killing Ukrainians, soldiers, but also Ukraine is killing Russian soldiers. And Russia is using mercenary or alliance support from North Korea. North Korean soldiers are in Russia, actually in Ukraine, fighting for Russia. And I'm told some Chinese soldiers are also in Ukraine, fighting for us. Some. Others were arrested. I think about 2 or so were captured and gave information. So you can see the kind of thing is happening. It is a huge conflict, 3 years now down the road. And the operation was about to be for a short time, for a few days or maybe a few weeks, or maybe a month or 2. But now we are actually in the 3rd year of the fighting. The third conflict, the third conflict I will simply mention and move because time cannot allow me. Third conflict now I can mention here is Sudan. Sudan, the bigger Sudan, the original Sudan, which has the capital as Khartoum, you know. So the conflict actually began on 15th of April 2023 when the National Army faced a challenge from a faction of the armed forces, a group that is led by the Deputy Army Commander then, had formed a force in the background way back in years. There is a force that is fighting the national force now. The national force is called Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, S-A-F, SAF, Sudanese Armed Forces. Now there is that faction, there is that, can I call it a rebel group? There is a force called Rapid Support Forces, RSF. Actually it's occupying some parts of Khartoum, although sometimes it is being chased around and so, but people are dying. It is a civil war. People are dying, young and old, especially women and children, including soldiers, but people are dying. There's a huge civil war, huge conflict. Famine is hitting, diseases are hitting, economy is collapsing. All this is happening after the fall of the administration of Bashir. Bashir. This country had a president, Omar Hassan Ahmed al-Bashir, who was born on 1st of January 1944. He was the head of, became the head of state in 1989, and he was removed in 2019 by the armed forces of the country in a coup d'etat. He was incarcerated, tried and convicted, or convicted with multiple corruption charges. He's in prison, he's in incarceration. So what is happening in Sudan is a huge trouble to the entire sub-region here. It is affecting us in many ways, affecting us. Actually, it is spilling over into other countries like Somalia, like Ethiopia, like Eritrea, and other countries as well. So its effects are going to be felt, are being felt by neighboring countries as well, including South Sudan, which is the closest, which was part of Sudan originally. You know. So let me now leave that at that point. But what I'm telling you is that the world is not safe. Africa is not safe generally, and Uganda also, because these are neighboring countries. Sudan is a neighboring country, including a conflict now in DRC, which I didn't mention here, I didn't put on the list, but it is a conflict country, and the closest here in the west of this country. So finally, let me mention one other huge global conflict that is emerging. This is between India and Pakistan. Remember, all these are nuclear countries. And you know, nuclear weapons are destructive weapons. Once employed, once put to use, it not only destroys the countries where they are, but also the entire globe, the entire world gets affected by the chemicals of those weapons. So just a few days ago, a conflict was sparked, but actually started way back from the time when the British were leaving India, and it divided some areas. Said India stops here, Pakistan stops here. Excuse me. There is an area in between there called Kashmir, which the two countries share. And each of the two countries, India and Pakistan, wants Kashmir to completely belong to it. When India says the entire of Kashmir should belong to India, Pakistan says no. When Pakistan says Kashmir should belong to Pakistan, India says no. And so there's that running conflict that was part of. Now this recent one was part of by a deadly militant attack in Pahalgam, which is part of India-administered Kashmir. You know, like I said, India administers part of Kashmir. Pakistan also administers part of Kashmir. But now, in the part that India administers, there was an attack. And this attacking group is said to have been engineered or supported by Pakistan. And so India replied by launching some fierce attack on Pakistan as well, especially where they have about 9 sites where they think the planning to attack India was manufactured from, originated, or made from. So these sites are in Pakistan. And so Pakistan is fighting back. Some of these sites are Jammu and Kashmir, allegedly being the sites where the attack to India was hatched from. But like I said before, the conflict dates back in 1947 when there was partition of British India, to share these ones here. So they are trying to create a ceasefire, to cease fighting for a while as they discuss and see what can happen. But it's not holding yet properly. It's supposed to be immediate and holding. It is being championed by the US President Donald Trump. He was even celebrating that the countries have agreed, but I learned that a few hours ago there was a resumption of fighting between the two countries. Now finally, let me mention, as I wind up, that 2025-2026 is election period in Uganda. It is election period, season. There is election fever in the country. And why I'm mentioning this is that already there are issues. Many political parties in the country should be running their primaries, internal elections within their parties, which we call primary elections. Uganda's ruling party, NRM, has already done at village level, in their structures at village level, to elect their leaders within their party. But what has happened already has given us a picture of anxiety. There were conflicts already within, infightings, hooliganism, disruptions. So this is, I'm not a prophet of doom, and I don't want to be, and I don't want my country to have unnecessary upheavals. I want peaceful elections, but I want to mention also there are certain situations that, you don't like them, but they happen. When you saw what was happening in Kawempe by-election, how the journalists were being really gagged, beaten, kind of smashed. So when we are entering the period of elections in the country, the citizens in this country should watch out. Let's try all the best we can, every citizen in the country, whether military, whether ordinary, whether civilian, whether ruling, whether not ruling. Let's work for peace. Let's work for peace and security and tranquility. I want to challenge my government, the government of the Republic of Uganda, of course, to make sure it does its best to maintain peace in the country. The Kawempe incident is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a good example. It's not a good precedent. And the recent upheavals, conflicts within the primaries of NRM are not a good thing. In some areas they had peaceful elections, but we have seen in some areas already some people who were hurt, were injured, The stealing of votes, that kind of political corruption is also huge. So finally, let me make this statement regarding leadership. So whoever is having a role or playing a role or wants to be or is or hopes to be a leader should understand this. It's a very important thing. Do every job you like with all your energy as if you are going to do it forever. Ekintu kyonna turaba ntukora nk'abantu tukikole n'amagezi gaitu gona n'obumezi bwaitu bwona oturundi ntujja kukola ebiro n'ebiro. In other words, ningamba ngo obujunaanizibwa bwona obutwine leka tubukole n'obujunaanizibwa. Ninkola sense. Obwembezi bwona obutwine katubukole n'obujunaanizibwa. Oba oli mu ruling party otali mu ruling party, oba n'okukola mu institution nk'eno Fort TV, oba n'okukola mu kitongole kyonna. Tamu amagezi gawe gona, tamu obumezi bwawe bwona, tamu obwire bwawe bwona, tamu kugonza kwawe kwona, kolera obusinguzi bw'ekikala ekyo bw'enyikala ege. Hati obutukugenda mu bwebembezi, mu by'okukoma bebembezi. Abarikukoma n'abarikukoma bairaba n'abembezi baitu abatwine n'abo abarikwijja, leka tukolere okutaha obwebembezi mu nyikara enyakwine obusinge, enyakwine eteeka, so that we have a peaceful election in the country, or peaceful elections in the country. Then that is going to challenge our understanding. Amagezi gaitu ngagenda kupimirwa nk'okuturayetwaza, nk'okutukwetwaza mukasumi akobururu. Already nindora hari okujuma abantu abakusira obururu, abandi nibajuma bagenzi babo, hako nibemera ntebe zokusana mukikala ky'omuntu kurwana mu mulingo gwa kasikiriza abantu nakwesa ebigambo ebyokubasikiriza kyonka atakurwana atakujumoli. Abantu bakwirwa ati manyere kyababeera na kiramu n'abanyayuganda. Why do you have to make your opponent or your competitor, your fellow competitor, as your manifesto? Nanka tahura, nanka musuma, nanka biki, manya nanka. No, I mean, iwa abantu nogenda kwa kura kyotekanize kora program yawe niya. I think that is the area of concentration, and that's why sometimes we have fake leaders, fake politicians, because they don't know the agenda for the people. They deviate to attack those people who are coming in. You know how gambire ngoli takusemera kwija, niwe semere kwija wenga. Kandi obu bugweto wabuwanya. Obwebembezi bujunanizibwa n'obuhebwa abantu nabweki deka kurwanisa abantu akuba abantu abo n'obukora bamu abo abantu nija kuba noikara nabo. They are staying, they are all residents, they are all citizens, they are all people of the area. I'm sending out until next Sunday, God willing. Stay safe.
entertained.
tweteranize hebero byokwezi 11 kwa gatanu kiribakero kya Sande okujaguza muzairo mukazi kanuwa Mau Unseen Model Agency bakwatanize na Yega Foundation bakuletira Mothers Charity Day Glamour 2025 tuli bantu echumitiriza hamukago gutaru kuchweka ogwo muzairo mukazi leta mama ayegonze kirecho kiribakero cyo kusemeza abazaira abakazi alibaho kuoleka emisono amazana no kuchekecha byona bigenderiro kujaguza mukazi bindi biri ba Mountains of the Moon Hotel mu rubuga rwa Fort Poto 11 kwa gatanu 2025 tahamu ordinary mtwale ebiri VIP mitwali 10 ubu kwita no muzere wawe mukazi wo notahera mbusada kandi emeza y'abantu mukaga mitwara 5 ticket zinu zona nizida necho kunyo ije tujaguze the queens in our lives kumanya bikira hotera 0 030 M08 rudi 0 mwenda 25 Mothers Charity Day Glamour 11 kwa gatanu.
Welcome to Afro Mobile, the king of Ugandan content. It's a mobile app with all of your favorite programs in the palm of your hands. Latest breaking news, video on demand, live streams, music, sports, lifestyle and entertainment. Play, pause, rewind, download and even share all of your favorite shows from up to 15 TV stations, 50 radio channels and 10 news outlets, all curated from a trusted and resourceful network of journalists. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store to download the Afro Mobile app and enjoy a world of limitless wonder. Afro Mobile. The future is now.